Well, let me tell you something about this chap here, Sir Winston. In 1939, he stood, when that place there was against him, he stood behind the British people and defeated fascism and the Nazi Party all across Europe. And you wouldn't be stood here today, young man, talking to me if it wasn't for Churchill. There'd be a different statue there, and there'd be swastikas flying over there. Oh, that's me done.
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
Okay, this is about Black Lives Matter. What about Latinos? And I always say Latinos are black.
The only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill. Less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats. As President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act, I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now, the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing.
To the governor and the mayor of Seattle, who I think are holding their cups back, I would say gently, if you hate cops just because they're cops, then the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
I have to tell you about the situation on the ground in your city, but in terms of how it looks to the rest of the country and the president as basically ineptitude, the inability to control your own streets. Is that fair criticism?
We've got 4 blocks in Seattle that you just saw pictures of that is more like a block party atmosphere. It's not an armed takeover. There is no threat right now to the public.
Block parties don't take over a municipal building, let alone a police station, and destroy it, basically thumbing their nose at any sense of civic control. Do you believe that you have control of your city and that you would be able to clear those streets? Because you haven't.
We do, and the chief of police was in that precinct today with her command staff. We have to acknowledge and know that we have a system that is built on systemic racism, and we have to dismantle that system piece by piece.
How long do you think Seattle and those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
You are the most un-American motherfuckers I have ever seen, and you need to go.
The question was answered when we interviewed Jaden Grayson, one of the leaders of this movement.
Every single day that I show up here, I'm not here to peacefully protest. I'm here to disrupt until my demands are met. You cannot rebuild until you break it all the way down. Respond to the demands of the people or prepare to be met with any means necessary. By any means necessary.
That's not just a slogan.
No. No. No, it's not a slogan. It's not even a warning. I'm letting people know what comes next. A response to violence is not violence itself.
The Republic of Chaz published a very clear list of demands. Among them was the abolishment of the police.
The Seattle Police Department turns in their badges, we'll have made a move forward.
In other words, not defund the police, abolish.
From petitions and social media posts going viral to even company policy. You don't have to wonder. First, let me address the deniers. Independent contractors and owner-operators can absolutely do this. So, what about company drivers, you might ask? To a certain extent, absolutely. Refusing loads is part of the game out here. However, with the defunded police departments, you've just given company drivers the excuse they need. It's called the Surface Transportation Assistance Act. Protections for drivers who operate either unsafe equipment or go into unsafe areas. Think it won't happen? Watch.
Here's what some of the, quote, protesters were chanting last night in Minneapolis. So you're not going to see that clip on CNN. How come?
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it.
We gotta, it's just, but you gotta, I mean, we gotta reassure, look, my message to everybody I talk to.
So my kids asked me what it was like to grow up in the 80s. I took away their cell phones and turned off the internet. That's how it was.
Citizens, effective immediately, report to their New World Order subdivisions for market.
The Supreme Chancellor also said, no citizen without the mark shall be able to buy, trade, or sell anywhere within the New World Order realm.
I don't like this. Why can't you see that that's the mark of Satan?
That's nonsense. Nonsense. What are you, some kind of a Bible thumper all of a sudden?
Don't worry about me anymore. What are you doing? Nothing. You called on me!
Where is she? Where's she at?
It's past 7.
Which one of you called?
I did, sir.
What took you so long?
Our daughter wasn't willing to get the mark at first, but we thought maybe later she would be willing to change her mind.
Right in front of our very eyes, we are seeing the globalist deep state at work. Black Lives Matter and Antifa. What a terrible, terrible blight upon all people. Antifa, which they claim means anti-fascist, is absurd, ludicrous, and totally opposite of what they claim to be. They are not anti-fascist. They are fascist. Black Lives Matter. It's a ruse, R-U-S-E. If Black Lives Matter, then why don't we do something about what is happening, black on black, killing black, in places like Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. It's an endless list that won't be missed. So the bottom line here is that it's about divide, confusion, chaos, and conquer. What we're watching here is insanity, and particularly the deep state Democrats and their seditious, despicable, lying media are fanning the flames. I urge all of my brothers and sisters, don't go for the ghost, okay? Don't be duped, hoodwinked, bamboozled, okay? Understand that we are in this struggle as patriots, as U.S. citizens, together. What we have...
If your absence doesn't bother them, your presence never mattered.
Nancy Pelosi, you and the Democratic Party are the biggest sleazeballs that have ever walked the face of this fucking planet.
Get down if you're done. Let's go. Give it a second. Give it a second, man. Get down. Get down. Let's go. Get down.
If this were the actual size of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, then that would be the actual size of the sun. By the way, on this scale, Pluto would be the size of a plum. I'm just saying.
Obey the law. Use common sense. Stop immediately. Turn that shit off. Be polite. Shut the fuck up. Get a white friend. And last but not least, don't ride with a mad woman. If you follow these simple pointers, you probably won't get your ass kicked by the police.
I can't keep my mouth shut any longer, so it's time for me to exercise my First Amendment rights. And I'm not going to do it by standing on some street corner whining about how I feel like I've been mistreated. Nor am I going to destroy my community or assault people who are trying to protect what they've worked for. So this message goes out to you panty-waist, spineless Antifa bitches. Law enforcement officers swear to an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and protect the citizens of their community from people who mean them harm. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, who's there to protect the police officers from people who mean them harm? That's our second line of defense. That's me, motherfucker, and there's plenty of people out there who feel the exact same way I do. Now, my oath expired a long time ago. That means I get to play by your fucking rules. The difference is I'm not going to hide behind a mask. I'm not going to run in the face of adversity. We're well armed. We're well trained. You're not ready for the fight you started. So I suggest you pack up your participation trophies and go the fuck home to your mom.